ranking albums again. Today we're going to do Ozzy's solo stuff. As always, if there's anything you want me to see me rank, put it down in the comments. I will get to it. It does take me a little bit because if there's stuff I'm not intimately knowledgeable about, I will listen to the entire record, the entire discography. So it does take me a little while. As always, this is my list, not your list. If you disagree with it or agree with it, put it down in the comments. Let's talk about it. But for now, let's get into Ozzy. All right, first up, 2007's Black Rain. This is Zakk Wylde's last album as being the main songwriter for Ozzy. It's just not very good. I Don't Want to Stop is the only redeeming song on here, and even that's just fine. Again, this is just not a very, very good album. Next up, 2010's Scream. This was the first album that came out after Zakk left the band. Gus G from Firewind, however you say that band, he played guitar. It sounded fine. He's not a Zakk Wylde replacement. Again, I don't particularly like this album either. Next up, Ozzy's most recent release, Patient Number 9. This has features on every song. As you can see, Jeff Beck, Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, Zakk Wylde does a couple of solos, Tony Iommi, Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age, and it goes on and on. This is decent. I didn't want to like this, but I was pleasantly surprised. Mr. Darkness and Nothing Feels Right are two standouts on this for me. Next up, 2001's Down to Earth. While there's a couple of decent songs on here, Gets Me Through is one of them, Dreamer, another good one. This came out at a time when nu metal was happening, and this album just didn't fit the sound that people wanted. Also, there's a lot of ballads on here. I'm fine with a couple, but there's way too many ballads on this album. Next up, Ordinary Man from 2020. I was very, very, very surprised by this. This was produced by Andrew Watt, who is Post Malone's producer. He played guitar on it. Very, very good stuff here. I was very surprised. I didn't want to like this, but I actually did. Duff McKagan and Chad Smith play bass and drums on this, so I was very surprised to find that out. Next up, 1986, The Ultimate Sin. It's very, very 80s sounding. It's very synth-based more than guitar-based. Obviously, there's guitar stuff in it with Jakey Lee, but it's more synth-based than anything else. The title track and Shot in the Dark are two of my standouts for this one. Next up, 1983's Bark at the Moon, the first release with Jakey Lee playing guitar. Now, again, this is more of the synth-based stuff. Obviously, guitar is there, but there's a lot of synth-laden things. Bark at the Moon, definitely one of my favorite tracks. I feel like Jakey Lee gets a little bit overshadowed by the amount of synth that is on here, but he did a hell of a job filling in after Randy Rhoads passed away. Jakey Lee is low-key one of my favorite guitar players. I love his stuff with Ozzy. Next up, Zakk Wylde's first foray with Ozzy Osbourne, No Rest for the Wicked from 1988. Crazy Babies, one of my favorite Ozzy songs, as well as Miracle Man. This is very hair metal sounding, very 80s, late 80s hair metal sounding stuff. But overall, a very, very, very fun album. Next up, the last album that Randy Rhoads played on, Diary of a Madman. Over the Mountain and Flying High again, two standouts. My favorite off of here is Diary of a Madman. It just sucks that it takes the entire album to get to because it's the last track. Coming in at number 3, 1991's No More Tears. I feel like this is where Zakk really started to hit on all cylinders. Songs like Mr. Tinker Train, Mama, I'm Coming Home, Time After Time, and of course, No More Tears, the title track. That is a fantastic song, with that slide guitar and that heavy riff with the pinch harmonic. Great stuff. Number 2, Osmosis from 1995. I feel like this is the point where Ozzy sounded exactly like Ozzy should with Zakk Wylde playing guitar. Some of the stuff before it and some of the stuff after it, this is exactly what I think of when I think of Zakk Wylde playing guitar for Ozzy Osbourne. Songs like See You on the Other Side, Perry Mason, and I Just Want You are three absolute standouts on this record. And coming in at number 1, 1980's Blizzard of Oz. This is like a greatest hits album for Ozzy. His band post Black Sabbath was originally supposed to be called Blizzard of Oz, but it was changed to just his solo stuff, and the album was named Blizzard of Oz. Songs like Mr. Crowley, Goodbye to Romance, Crazy Train, Suicide Solution, I Don't Know. It's like hit after hit after hit. This is an amazing, absolutely amazing album.